And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the always pressing PGA DFS podcast. This week, we'll be previewing the OHL Classic at Mayakoba in Mexico, wonderful Mexico. In order to do so, I'll be joined by my co-host, as always. You can find him on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. Jesse, how we doing, man? Good, good. Not too bad at all. I thought I lost you for a minute there, man. It's a computer, I'm telling you. Doing well. Getting ready to get back on another week of golf. We have another 132-man cut event in Mexico,
Yes.
So that'll be good. But we were both chatting right beforehand. We didn't get to watch a ton of golf this weekend. It was nice to have a cut event. Didn't work out in all of the favors, but any overall thoughts on the Shriners Open with Bryson with another victory?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's what, like in his last five, he's won like 5 or 6. He's won half of them basically. Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. And he's number 5 in the world. Is that correct?
Something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. He's just taken over the world. When it was less than a year ago, it felt like everyone that could talk shit about him was talking shit about him. And now it's like, where are they now? Because what can you say about this guy? Really, I embraced the hatred after a while. I was like, okay, you want to wear goofy hats? You want to, measure things out there? Come on. He already came out and saying he's going to use the new rule next year where you can leave the pin in based on what kind of like material the flag's made out of.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, did you see that? Yeah, dude, that's crazy to even. I mean, but his approach works.
Yep.
We talk about it all the time. Golf is such a mental game. It's one of those things where, if you find something that works for you, whatever it is, I mean, I'm not gonna fault you for it. It's not necessarily the funnest thing to listen to and watch, but it works for Bryson DeChambeau, so more power to him.
Yeah, it's like we say, there's no one swing created equal. There's Cam Champ. He said he can't even tell you how his swing works. He has no clue. He just they kind of pointed him in the right direction, and he grips it and rips it. And, he finished pretty well again this last weekend, T28. These guys are just crazy. And Bryson, it's fun to watch. I love him and love seeing him play. He's just a goofy dude, just a really goofy dude. It was good seeing him afterwards, hanging out with all the kids from the Shriners Hospital. A lot of people probably would have never thought Bryson would be that guy, especially after that event in Europe where he just wouldn't even shake his opponent's hand. He's just a goofy guy, but yeah, now top 5 in the world. He's already towards the top of the FedEx Cup points, going after 5 events now. He's crushing it, and it's really cool to see. Something else I saw this week that was interesting. We can go back and forth on a few other things if you so choose, but Tiger Woods is now 13th in the world. He has passed Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Jordan's descent is pretty incredible. I guess he finished 55th.
Yep, T55
at the Shriners there. So I thought he was going to play like early on. He was decently. He played okay the first couple of days, and I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to his scores the last weekend because he was down there at the bottom of the leaderboard. But yeah, 66, 68, 71, 72. Not a very good finish at all whatsoever. So. I mean, I don't know what to do or what to say about Jordan. He hit it all over the place. Apparently, didn't hit very many fairways, and the putter wasn't working very well either. So, be interested to see because he's playing this week again, and he's basically playing last week and this week because he didn't play enough tournaments last year. So, we'll talk about him some more, I guess, here in a little bit.
Yeah, the overall thing I kind of gained out of the tournament is that a lot of these big names, most of them, not all of them, they came out and played pretty well. Some finished okay. Ricky finished T4, and he's played well at that event. And that's his first time actually. He played well this time. But a lot of those guys kind of fell off over the weekend. Finau finished T36. Gary Woodland finished strong. But just felt like overall a lot of those big-time guys just kind of like even Kuchar, just like Spieth, started out really, really hot. He finished T57. So very interesting with some of these guys because when you look at the final leaderboard, there's a lot of the younger names that we've kind of learned to enjoy with golf, but we didn't think would have as much fun this weekend with some of the bigger names there. So very interesting, and I think it's something we're going to see for years to come with all these new rules about guys having to play tournaments. So it'll be good.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was a good mix of kind of new guys and old guys. Ricky obviously finished top 4 there, but a lot of guys we talk about on a regular basis. Answer was up there. We talked about Glover, who's one of the older guys. He was up there. Bud Cauley, solid little 10th place finish. Scott Piercy, we talked about last week. Joaquin Neiman makes another appearance in the top 10. So is he finding something? And our boy SJ, he was top 15 again.
He went top 15, and then our other boy, I thought that's who you were going to mention first, but SJ finished phenomenally because he started out kind of up and down. It was really windy that first afternoon, and then he turned it on over the weekend. Played really well. But our other boy, and he's got good course history here. He's of the area this week. He's $8,400. Our boy Abraham Answer at the T4. So Answer is coming in strong. So it'll be I really I say it almost every week, and people probably just get annoyed by me reiterating myself, but I really like these young players. They're playing some good golf right now in some of these fields.
Yeah, golf is in a good place.
Yeah, very good. It makes it fun.
Yes.
But with that being said, let's get into the OHL Classic at Mayakoba in Mexico, Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Why don't you give us some past event history?
So like you said, it's played at that golf course. I'm not going to repeat what you just said because I'm not gonna make a fool out of myself like I do every week when I try to announce some of these or pronounce some of these golf courses. One thing I did want to mention, and it's in the article by Jeff Shane on PGAtour.com, and his first look article is that 8 of the first 11 champions at Mayakoba have been in their 30s or older. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Last year, Patton Kazire started his fall swing run here, or I guess, well, wasn't really a false swing run, but he played well for the next couple months. He won. He beat Ricky by 1 shot. 6 because of a rain delay, I'm guessing. You'll talk about it some, but this is in a jungle area. 2016 champion was Pat Perez, 2 shots over Gary Woodland. Graeme Mcdowell was a champion in 2015. Charlie Hoffman, 14. Harris English, 13. Your boy John Huh, 12. Brian Gay's a past winner here. We'll talk about him a little bit. Johnson Wagner. So kind of a weird group, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a weird group, but it kind of makes sense. Is when I get into the course preview, it'll make a lot of sense why those guys finished pretty well here. But it's in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. It's at the El Chameleon Golf Course, and they call it the Chameleon because of the different ways the course changes. There's 3 types of, I guess, architecture is the right word, but they're using natural habitats. So it's probably not the right word, but they have mangrove jungles through part of the course. You have limestone canals through part of the course. You have oceanfront stretches. They even have underground caves that go through the fairways. It's a wild place, really wild. One of the descriptions I read flat out said guys will hit their ball to the fairway as they're walking, and they're going to see one of these underground canals and be like, "What the heck is going on here?" It's really trippy but really beautiful. But the problem is with all these things surrounding all these holes between the jungles, the canals, the ocean, everything. You got to be accurate, and that's why those guys did really well here. Cam Champ was here on a sponsors exemption last year, did not make the cut, but he said he never pulled his driver out on a par 4. Got pass Palm greens, fairways, and rough. It's all the same grass throughout the area. The greens are much larger than the average greens. You get about 67 to 68% greens in regulation last year, so definitely above tour average in greens in regulation. I forgot to mention earlier, it's a par 71. 6,987 yards. It's every year since they've come and played here in this time of year, it's ranked in the mid-30s in ease through on the tour. Last year is 33rd in easy to score on the tour. But yet it's difficult because there's 36 bunkers throughout the course and the fairways around the greens. Water comes in to play on all but 3 holes. So if you stay in play, you can birdie, but it's also had the 16th most double bogeys than any course on the tour last year. So if you get in trouble, you're screwed, bottom line. And other than that, without getting too more blabbery, you had 11 par 4s. The average about 425. The longest is 462. You got 4 par 3s that average about 156. There's one that's 200. You got 3 par 5s that average about 540. Longest is 554. So you can definitely go and attack those. The biggest thing I'd say, besides accuracy out here, is the weather, the wind. That's that last factor of why they call it the Chameleon. right off the ocean there. That wind can kick up and get just crazy. It could be gentle and then go fast. Like, it just varies all the time out there. Ricky Fowler talked about it when he was here last year. Like you mentioned, that rain delay and everything. He said that stuff just came off the Caribbean right there, and all of a sudden it just turned into like a hurricane for just like a little bit of time. Like, it goes through different waves. So the wind will be the key factor to keep an eye on. And there's like weather underground, and all those will tell you all about that. But pretty cool looking course. The pictures I looked at, the course flyover on the website, absolutely beautiful. Someday when I, win the Mega Millions or something, we'll go play that golf course. What kind of key stats you looking at, Jesse?
Yeah, looking at more accuracy stats this week, off the tee especially, greens and regulation, but birdie or better percentage is key as well. I think this week, the scores here are, last year was 19 under 1, 21 under the year before. It's mid to high teens to low 20s. So you got to be able to score. So I as far as narrowing that down, basically greens and regulation for me, driving accuracy, and birdie or better.
Yep, I'm on the same page with birdie or better. Tee to green and driving accuracy are some things I really, really like there, because you'll see I'll have a lot of the usual suspects for this time of year, because the courses seem to resemble themselves quite a bit on the overall layout that we've been dealing with here. Before we get into the actual DraftKings picks, you mentioned birdie or better, so I want to do some fan share talk real quick. Just guys coming in good form, leading the DraftKings score in the last 3 events. Woodland leads the way, and then Sam Ryder is second. Abraham Answer is third. Scott Piercy fourth. Bo Hostler fifth. Grillo sixth. Our boy Sunjay is seventh. Finau eighth. Malnati ninth. Peter Malnati and Chucky Three Sticks is 10th. If you go back 6 events, you still have Gary Woodland, Sam Ryder, but then you have Grillo third, and then out of nowhere, Siwoo Kim is fourth. Joaquin Neiman is fifth. You got Bo Hostler. Mackenzie Hughes is seventh. Answers at 8. Wise at 9. And then Danny Lee is at 10. And Danny Lee is an interesting one, because we look at last year's production at the Mayakoba. You have Kazire led the way because he won, Fowler second. But then it gets really interesting. And you got guys like Siwoo Kim, Charles Howell, Chetka, Brown, so on and so forth. But what I wanted to bring up, you mentioned birdie or better, and we did this a little bit ago on a couple podcasts back. It gets interesting because, Kazire and Fowler still lead DraftKings scoring, and they led the birdies. Kazire at 25, Fowler at 22. But tied with Fowler at 22 was Danny Lee, who ended up getting 84.5 DraftKings points last week. And this is where the power of the birdies and DraftKings scoring come into play, because Danny Lee finished T25, but he was third in birdies, and he was like a top 10 in the DraftKings scoring. Chucky Three Sticks finished fourth. Scott Brown finished sixth. But you guys got Brandon Harkins. He was a T25. You had JT Poston, who was even farther back. I'm trying to look at this as we go. But CT Pan was 9th in birdies with 19, or tied for 8th, and he was T55. He still got you 72 DraftKings points. But moral of the story, go for the scorers, like Jesse mentioned, birdie or better percentage. And it could be a good way to differentiate when you look at fan share this week on ownership projections. Go back and look who's scoring really well on kind of middle-ranked par 4s, getting big birdies, and go from there. And it'll be able to differentiate yourself a little differently. All right, Jesse, DraftKings scoring. We got a very interesting field. It's almost very similar to last week's field, to tell you the truth. We got 5 guys over 10K. You got Fowler at 11.5, Spieth at 11.3, Finau at 11, Gary Woodland at 10.7, and Billy Ho at 10.2. What do you like up here?
Yeah, it's really similar. It feels like minus Billy Horschel didn't play last week, and then Finau's got a little bit of a decrease, and for some reason Spieth got an increase. So yeah, I think Ricky's okay. He finished second here last year, so obviously he's played well here before, coming off a pretty good week last weekend at the Shriners, where he finished 4th. So I think he's playable. Finau is most definitely playable again. The thing with Tony is he's obviously played quite a bit here recently, including going to China, then flying back over for the Shriners. Finished 36th. Obviously didn't pay off his 11.3 price tag last week. So I don't know if that'll back people off of him or what. He was still 20% owned last week. So I do like Tony again, and Gary Woodland again too. It's one of those things where just kind of rinse and repeat here. But Gary Woodland finished 10th last week, so he was super chalky last week. But either way, I do like Woodland again. Billy Horschel, I mean, he might be the pivot here because he's not played since China. He did finish 11th there. So he's been playing well, obviously, at 10-2. I think he's maybe worth a GPP. The only person I won't touch is Spieth, but like if I had to rank him, I would go Ricky, Finau, Woodland.
No, I like that a lot. Finau we always talk about, but the ones I'm looking at here is Gary Woodland at 10-7. I absolutely love. I have a feeling they'll be chalky again, like last week, like you mentioned. But in this field, I know it's a small sample through 2019, but he's second in birdie percentage, 8th in greens and reg, 14th in short screen approach. But I know it's a very small sample. But we've seen what he's been doing all over Asia, and then back on stateside, a T10 last week at the Shriners. A lot to like there with Gary Wood, and I agree. I like Billy Ho at 10-2. We've been riding him a lot towards the end of the season last year. This is a guy that has really good iron play. Is pretty accurate with his driver too. If he wants to get kind of goofy out there, like on the par fives, you can't hit your driver. Like that's one thing Cam Champ said. You can grip it and rip it on the par fives. So I think Billy Ho at 10-2 could definitely be a really good pivot here. Obviously, the best pivot's Spieth, but I'm not playing him, and I'm not going to tell anybody that ever listens to the show to play him the way he's playing right now. So that is going to be the lowest owned guy up here. There's no sugarcoating that. But I'd go Billy Ho as the pivot off of everybody else. So Woodland's the guy I want up here. If I want to play the ownership game, I go to Billy Ho. All right, $9,000 range. We got Aaron Wise, who came back after a rough start, finished T15 last week. Emiliano Grillo, Mr. Course History himself. Chucky 36, another course history buff. Bo Hotzler, ZJ, Siwoo Kim, we talked about, pretty high up in the DraftKings scoring in the last 6 events. Cam Champ at 9,100 and Luke List at 9,000. Jesse, who do you like in the 9Ks?
Yeah, my favorite play probably here would be Charles Howell. I mean, the course history is just immaculate. 4th, 7th, 17th, missed cut and 14, but then 6th and 16th. I mean, he's just pretty much torn this golf course up. I don't know that the form is necessarily a great. 61st of the CJ Cup, so he hasn't played in 2 weeks. So we'll see, but I do like him at 9,500. Like you said, Grillo's got the course history. He's got 2 top 10s here and 2 appearances. I do like Siwoo Kim, though, at 9,200. 3rd and 17th back in 15, coming off of 15th, and he reeled off so many birdies in a row at one point. I think it was maybe Saturday morning or something, and he kind of came back a little bit, but he can score in bunches. So Siwoo at 9,200 I think is super interesting. What about Cam Champ being more expensive than Luke List? Cam Champ, that's one thing, we talked about last week, can he bounce back? Well, not really bounce back, but can he come back and perform after a win? And he did. I didn't expect him to play as well as he did, but 28th is very respectable in my opinion. So I think it, him having a year under his belt at this golf course, he could be worth a look at $9,100 there. And Luke List too. I mean, at 9,000, his course history is bad, like really bad here. He's made one cut in 3 tries. The one time he did make the cut, he finished 7th. So interesting, but I think I would rather have Champ or Siwoo Kim. But for me, it's basically Howell, Grillo, and Kim for sure.
Yeah, that just sums up Luke List in a nutshell right there. He's going to give you a top 10, or he's going to probably miss the cut. That's what Luke does. But Siwoo's very interesting. I know, again, small samples. We've got to go with what we have in this small start to the season. Siwoo's just behind Gary Woodland in birdie percentage. He reigns in the birdies, like you said. And the one time he didn't make the cut here, it's because he withdrew. So the 2 times he's actually played the whole tournament, like you said, a 3rd and a T17. So I don't hate it. I do like Cam Champ quite a bit at $9,100. He like you said, he showed me a lot last week, bouncing back. And I think playing this course is really going to help him a lot because he knows where he can miss, where he can't. There's a lot to be said about that. Obviously, it's common sense stuff. But I do like that at $9,100 there for Champ. Chucky 36, I agree. The course history is amazing. Grillo's going to be chalkier than chalk if he's not for some reason. I don't mind it because he can score in bunches at times too. I just want to put out if you are playing cash games for some reason, Chucky 3 Sticks and ZJ, I'd say to start with those 2. I'm pretty sure they'll make the cut for you and just move along. Like that's just safety at its finest to me. But for GPPs, it's just hard. Chucky's proven he can do it at this course. Zach, not so much. A T23 at $9,300 isn't horrible, but you probably need more. So for me, it's probably Cam Champ up here. Outside of that, I'd look at Grillo based on pricing. And then now you got my attention on Siwoo Kim. I'll be honest about that. Let's go to the 8K range where we have JB Holmes coming in pretty decent form at $8,900. Joaquin Niemann did it again last week, $8,800. You got Sam Ryder's on fire at $87. Ryan Moore at $86. Chesticle at $85. Our boy Answer at only $8,400. I will be playing all the Answer. Hadwin at $83. Kuchar at $82. CT Pan at $81. And Scott Piercy, Vegas' own, did it again last week, just at $8,000. Who do you like in the 8K range?
Yeah, I like this. I like this range quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner was out of this range. We already mentioned Answer, and the fact that he's played this golf course a bunch. He played it, competitively last year, so 3 straight years now. Missed the cut in 15, but then 55th and 9th last year. Had obviously coming off a really good week, so he's one of my favorite plays of the week. Sam Ryder as well. He missed the cut here last year. I'm not worried about it. Finished 3rd last week, 43rd the week before, and 4th the week before that. So he's off to a really good start for this season. Neiman, that top 10 last week gets me back on to him again. Ryan Moore is interesting. It was me and you and a few others in the Slack chat this week talking about Ryan Moore and how I can never get him right, and I literally cannot ever get him right. Like it's weird, but like you would think this type of course would fit him, being shorter, kind of a wedge it in, less than driver off the tee type of deal. So he's just so boring, and like I said, I could never get him correct. Kuchar, I would play Kuchar again in cash games. I played him last week, and he obviously made the cut. He didn't play very good on the weekend, but I think he's okay. And then Piercy again too. I mean, he's played this golf course pretty well. Did have a WD back in 13, but 4th, 16th in his last 2 appearances here. Didn't play here last year. One thing I did not mention when we did like the course preview and the course history and all that kind of thing, is that there are probably going to be some withdrawals because of a little thing called Montezuma's Revenge. So don't drink the water. But last year, just looking at the leaderboard last year, there was 6 withdrawals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Hadley, Landry, Lingmerth, Els, Blom, and Marty Dew all withdrew. So that's 6 is a lot for one golf tournament.
I remember when Hadley did, because he came in such good form. We were all on Hadley, not like all in, but he was very popular at that time. Yeah. that one stung.
I don't remember that last year, but I just looking at the leaderboard, I'm like, damn, 6 withdrawals. That's a lot for one tournament. So just be weary.
Good point. One guy you didn't mention, I'm curious on, is JB Holmes, $800. Like I said, he's coming in pretty good form. T23, T13, 9th in his last 3 events. He hasn't played here in a long, long time, and he missed the cut when he did that. So it'll be interesting there, because I think with Champ and List right above him and Neiman below him, I think he goes extremely low owned. So I think Holmes could be very interesting there.
He's another one of those guys that I just never can get right. So
fair enough.
He's
a Ryan Moore.
Yeah, he's a Ryan Moore kind of guy for me.
Yeah, but Joaquin Niemann at 88, I like a ton. Back on that train after what I saw. Sam Ryder at 87. We're pretty much on a lot of the same things. This course does fit Ches Reavie very well. A T14 and a T4 in his last 2. He's made all 5 cuts when he's played here. So he's very interesting at 85. He'll go super low and again, because Niemann, Ryder, Answer are all going to be pretty popular. Like they're the new hot thing. They're the new hot toy out there. Everyone wants to play them. But they're all worth it. Like Answer, I'll be on everywhere. If he misses the cut, won't watch the weekend. So that'll just solo that one real quick. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. Holmes is very interesting ownership wise, but Neiman, Ryder, Answer, I really, really like, and Ches Reavie could be a nice pivot as well in this 8K range. All right, let's go to the 7K range. I will list them off because I'm crazy, because I want to say one name for sure, but Bill Haas, 79. Somehow our boy Sanjay is down to 78, Jesse. I don't know how you don't play enough Sanjay this week. Rogers at 78. You got Kisner, Pat Perez, Hoffman, McCarthy, Mitchell, Chappie, Kirk. J.J. Spawn had a big week last week, a couple big weeks in a row. Burns, Cam Davis, Marty Party Laird, Arnos, The defending champion Kazire is down at 7,300. Lovemark, HV3 continues to get disrespected. Albertson's at only 72. You got Colley, McDowell, Shank, Swafford, Armour, Harmon, Henley, blah, blah, blah. Who do you like down in the 7K range?
You made it pretty far.
Yeah,
farther
I didn't think it was that far. I think it was that far. I kept going. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. I'm all over M again. Like I said, we've talked about it, and we'll continue to harp on it. But M's one of my favorite plays of the week again, especially if I'm gonna get him at a discount and what is a weaker field than what was most likely, last week. There's not as many big guns up top. There's no Bryson DeChambeau this week. So we got him last week at below 10%. He was about 8% last week, finished 15th. I don't expect him to be that low owned again this week, but again, I'm just hopping back. I'm staying on anyways. I'm not hopping back on. I'm staying on. Spawn, I think, is playable. Cameron Davis is interesting at 7,400, 15th here in 2016, coming off of 28th at the Shriners Open. So he could be in play there. Albertson, I did play him a little bit last week because I think we talked about him on the pod and you mentioned him. And, so that's two cuts. He's 2 for 2 this year, 5th and the 28th. He's never played here, but I like the kid. I think he's playing well. He's hitting 80% of his greens in regulation over the last few weeks here. And then Graeme McDowell's another guy. I just can't hardly ever get him right, but he's a past champion here. Streelman has played this golf course well in the past. He's never missed a cut here. So I think he is playable at 7,100 and even borderline cash game worthy. Brian Gay at 6. Oh, okay. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself there.
Okay. M at 78. It's like Answer and M I'm pretty much going to be all in with. That's just the way. And, almost looking at these prices, you just sit down how much you like the 8K range. You could literally build a lineup of 7 and 8K guys and feel very comfortable, on this going well for you.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting week here because you mentioned the past winners here, and then I was talking about birdie guys. There's a lot of them here. So M at 78, I like, Pat Perez. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he's played very well at this course, made 5 of 6 cuts. He's obviously a champion 2 years ago. He's coming in like a mixed bag. He's like, it's T37, T7, T63. It depends on what you get there, but I don't hate him at $7,700. He could, show up in a field like this. Kevin Chappie's just interesting for a super low owned guy. Other than that, stay away. But Cam Davis, I had him down at 74. I like him quite a bit. He was a big time scorer on the web.com. Big scorer. So when he contends, like you said, T28 last week, he missed the cut at the Sanderson, and then prior to that, T17, T3. So when he competes, he goes low, and I like that at $7,400. HV3 at $7,300, really hard to pass up on that yet again. I don't understand the hate for Harold Varner's pricing each week, but it's pretty interesting because they're pricing him like the way he was playing this time last year, not the way he's playing right now. Albertson's at 72. I agree with you there quite a bit. Ryan Armour is very interesting at 71 as well. He's a guy that can make cuts and every once in a while get on a good birdie streak and contend for you there at 7,100. All right, let's go to the 6K. There's a lot to like here. You already mentioned one, Jesse. Continue on with Brian Gay.
Yeah. I kind of get a little bit ahead of myself there, but yeah, I mean, Brian Gay, I think that price for him and Stewart both is a bit low. Their form coming in is not like, fall in love with it. Like they just seem to just make cuts and just cash checks, which is fine. But he's got good course history. He's a past winner here. I mean, all the way back to 2008. But either way, he's never missed a cut here. Gay hasn't. Stewart, another guy who's never missed a cut here, and he's coming off 2 straight missed cuts so far this year. So that's the guy I would be a little bit more wary about. I would go Gay over Stewart, but another guy's interesting guys. Danny Lee, you've already mentioned him, and I'll leave kind of that talk to you. Other than that, I mean, I don't like a whole heck of a lot. Like Dahlman, he's okay. At 68. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of getting down here, and I don't think you necessarily have to. But I mean, if you are down here because you're trying to get different, I would start with Gay. I mean, he still shouldn't be over 10% owned. Probably closer to 5 to 7.
Yeah, that's one reason why I like the 7 and 8K approach I just mentioned is because there's I have literally 10 guys written down here that have been playing really well of late, but they're also miscut definitely chances at times. Yeah. But if you want to do stars and scrubs, like you could literally, if you have a lineup optimizer, put these 10 guys in and put like 15% next to them, and then put the big guys up there. And you never know. Like, that's actually an option. It's not play where I'm going to go this week, but that's why I wanted to mention some names. I like Brian Gay a lot. I was on him a lot towards the end of last year. But Danny Lee is a birdie machine, especially right now. And he's a really, really good ball striker, really good iron player. His approach game is like outstanding to start the season. So $1,600. I really do like Danny Lee here. Domin, you mentioned Bryce Garnett has played really, really well at this golf course. I mentioned him last week. I think he's like $6,200. He's up to 67. He did miss the cut last week. Prior to that, 4 straight made cuts, T40 or better in those 4. He's made 3 of 4 cuts here. He's made 3 straight, T25, a 7th and a 6th. So $6,700 for Bryce Garnett is very intriguing. There are 7 Mexican golfers playing in Mexico here, so you got to kind of keep that in mind with some of these guys. And one is Carlos Ortiz, who let me down last week. He's a big-time scorer off the web also. He's played here 4 times. He's made 3 of 4 cuts, T44, T55, a miscut, and T9 in the last 4 years. So I think he can bounce back for you. Nick Taylor's coming in pretty good form. Sebastian Munoz is another guy. He played really, really bad on Friday. He had an amazing he played bad over the weekend. He finished T41. He's made 2 straight cuts, and it's his first time here. But when it comes to approach game, he's been really, really good to start the year. He's 6,600. If you think of a course like this, we talked about irons and just being smart. Vaughn Taylor always fits that mold. It's never pretty. It's never sexy to say Vaughn Taylor, but he's made 5 cuts here. Like, you can't ignore that at $6,500. He's going to get you through the door. If you're playing cash, I think he's not a bad play at all if you want to play some of those guys up top we talked about. So that's the only reason I mentioned some of these names down here. Like Richie Warwinski, you were on him a lot towards the end of last year. I watched him a lot, actually, Thursday afternoon. I think he was in the late pairings. He finished T23 last week, and he's made 3 straight cuts. And he's 2 of 2 on cuts here at 6,400. And the last guy I'm going to mention, I forgot about him last week on pitch because he finished T41. But we did talk about him on the preview show with Kevin Price, and I've heard him on some other previews for the web. He's $6,200. He's a Mexico native. Jose De Jesus Rodriguez is only $6,200, and he can be a birdie machine. He kind of fell apart over the weekend, but going into the weekend, he was playing really, really good golf for the Shriners. And maybe it's just a thing, like a narrative. You can take it as you wish, but $6,200 could be interesting. But if I'm picking one guy, I'm picking Danny Lee. Like you're picking Brian Gay, I'm picking Danny Lee. But there's options down here is all I wanted to bring him up for. All right, let's go a little price by price again real quick like we did last week, Jesse. I think it worked out pretty well. So 10K and above, there's 5 guys. Who's your one guy up top?
Finau.
Mine's Gary Woodland. In the 9K range, there's about 8 guys. Give me your one guy in the 8K range or 9K range.
If you got the money, I think Howell's the play, but otherwise Kim.
Yep, Cam Champ for me. UFC with Kim. I like that. In the 8Ks, give me 2 guys. Since it's solo, give me 2 guys in the 8K.
Ryder and Answer.
I got Neiman and Answer. 7Ks, give me 3 guys in the 7K for you.
M would be definitely for sure there. I think and Anders Albertson, and Kevin Streelman.
I have M, HV3, and Albertson. So if people are paying attention, we have a lot of things in common again this week, which for the most part actually worked out pretty well this year. So keep an eye on that one. And then we kind of gave our punt play already. You got Gay, I got Danny Lee. Is there anybody else that really stood out to you down there? Or is that about it?
Yeah, that's not. I just, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of that region. So I'm going to try to avoid it as much as possible.
No problem. Okay, outside of Jordan Spieth, who's your high price bust for the week?
Man, I'll go Bo Hostler.
Yeah, I like that Bo Hostler pick. I was debating between him and I took the same guy I took last week, and he kind of almost made me look foolish as he finished T15 for the second straight. But I'm going to go Aaron Wise again because I think he's 2 up there, but he's proven me wrong. But I just don't. I watched him play the opening round. He was just down back. So, if you're looking at your core this week, who are you looking at?
Ryder, Neiman, Answer.
Okay, mine's gonna be Neiman, Answer, M. But yeah,
I've got him in there too. I mean, I would. Those are my 4 favorites by far. Like I've already got those 4 locked in.
Yep, Champ would be my fourth. So I think I'm going to have like an under 25 golf team. It's going to be wild. Absolutely. We're going to be relying on guys that just started to drink a couple of years ago.
So if they don't drink the water.
Yeah, just stay away from the water will be good, like you said. Yeah, good point. All right, give me a kind of higher price guy to win and then a long shot.
If you're looking up top, like basically above 9K, I'll go a little bit off the wall and go Siwoo Kim. Below that, I mean, I really think that Sam Ryder is going to win a golf tournament soon. So I'll go with him below 8K or below 9K. Sorry.
Yeah, I went Gary Woodland up top, and then my guy is a native from Mexico. I'm gonna go Abraham Answer. I like him this week to do some damage. We'll see though. That's my long shot. All right, Jesse. I love how we're getting through these in like 40, 45 minutes every week. Any final thoughts for the?
I mean, the only thing I would say is, it's a good week kind of back off just because of the WD potential. Obviously, if you get a WD, you can really just ruin every chance you have of even cashing minimally. So I would keep that in mind when you're putting money in play this week. Other than that, thankfully it's a cut event, and so
perfect. Join us in the Slack chat this week, guys. If you need an invite, just ask one of us or send the DM to the Sports DJs to let you on in there. You guys ask questions, we'll answer them all day long. You just got to come in and ask them. So let us know. Jesse's on Twitter at DFS Golf Gods. I'm at BD Intric. The podcast is at Always Press DFS. And one last thing, can you please give us a rating and review on iTunes? It'll take you just a couple seconds. We really, really appreciate it. With that being it, Jesse, it's been cool.
Yep.
This is your 2018 OHL Classic at Mayakoba DraftKings preview. Catch you guys later.